And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Quivs here, Quivs does stuff. Today we're watching me fly around my house again with my Mobula 6 FPV drone. Previously I've been flying pretty much in stability mode, or angle mode as it is referred to, all the time. I have changed that now. So I've started to decide that I'm never going to learn to fly acro mode if I don't fly acro mode. So previously I had 4 batteries and I used to fly 3 of them in angle mode and then just 1 in acro mode, and I was sort of, not really learning anything. I have lost one of my batteries, not lost as in misplaced, but lost as in it broke, like the tabs broke really bad and I couldn't fix it just with soldering, so that one's gone. So instead I'm now only on 3 batteries, but that's alright, we've still got 3. I've actually got 4 new ones coming in the mail, so we'll sort that out. So as you can see, I'm very hesitant to begin with because I have not flown in acro, or air mode as it says in the bottom right at the moment, but mostly it's known as acro in FPV circles. I haven't flown much in it at all. As you can see, I can sort of manage flying around a room, but you'll watch as this goes on. I get better and better pretty quick, and that's because, I've spent, losing control, recovered. I've spent enough stick time, even in stability, to sort of know what the drone is gonna do, depending on which way the drone is facing. The fact that the drone now, you'll see me stack a lot, I crash a lot. The fact that the drone now doesn't auto level doesn't mean I don't know what to do on the sticks to get it back. So yeah, I will get better as this video goes along. Now, one of the other things you'll notice is me arming the drone and then flying around upside down a lot. That's because I think I'm in turtle mode or crash flip mode, but I'm not. I was convinced that I'd put crash flip mode on one particular switch on my controller, the same one that the buzzer is on. The buzzer you turn on if you think you're not going to be able to find your drone, so you'll turn the buzzer on so that you can go and at least listen out for it and go, it's over there somewhere. But yeah, it's like I don't realize I'm using the wrong switch. I've got crash flip on an entirely different switch. The only thing on that switch is crash flip off or crash flip on, whereas the buzzer is on a 3-position switch. That is, it can be 0, 1, or 2 is the sort of positions. And I've got 0 is buzzer off, 1 is buzzer on, and 2 is buzzer off. Or nothing, essentially speaking. But yeah, so it'll be the next day. I'll fly a couple of batteries on this day. And then I believe it's at the end of this day where I have a big crash. And during that big crash, I will actually snap the VTX, that is the visual transmitter antenna, off, which means the drone will not actually be able to transfer. No, actually, I fly another day where I didn't record. I don't know why I didn't record, but I fly a few batteries and I'm not recording, I'm just flying for fun. And yeah, I snapped the VTX antenna off, and I can't find it because on the Mobula 6, it's literally just a small piece of copper. So I didn't know what to do for a few days, well, for a few hours actually. By the end of the day I knew what to do, but it wasn't until the next morning that I fixed it. And I actually ended up scrounging a part from my Gep RC Tiny Go. Basically I chopped the antenna off I took the antenna off its VTX. Now it's normally attached via a connector called IPEX4, a UFL connector. It's a really tiny little connector. And I wanted to keep that, but I couldn't desolder the male connector from the VTX. So in the end I ended up just chopping the female connector from the aerial and then just soldering the aerial directly to the board. Now with the copper wire, it's just soldered to the active point with the Mobula 6's VTX, whereas the wire I was using was actually a shielded coax wire. So I've actually soldered the active to the active and then the shielding to ground, which supposedly is supposed to give you a better signal. Honestly, I'm not sure if it gives me a better signal or not. It's about the same. It might go further, but I haven't tested it outside of my house, so I don't know. It has added a few grams of weight as well. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to test more. Next battery. Yeah, you'll see I still have the problem where I turn my head as I'm flying the drone as well, and then, you do, because as you sort of pivot and rotate and stuff, you want to turn your head to look around the corner, but of course that does nothing. You have to physically turn the drone. Yeah, so sometimes, especially left, no, my right, I seem to always find myself with my head turned entirely right. Getting stuck under the indoor drying racks. It's been very wet outside. I've had to dry my clothes indoors recently. But yeah, as you can see, I'm slowly getting better at air mode. I say that as I crash several times. But you'll see, like, I start moving around faster. I'll start not just going around between here and the dining room and the kitchen. I'll actually go up the corridor to my computer room and try to fly around a bit in there without crashing. I think I crashed a few times in here. They might be mostly on the video that I didn't record, where I just, was playing for the day that I broke the BTX. But yeah, it was a bit of a thing, but I broke something and I'm like, all right, we've got to do this properly. Let's do this really properly. So I proceeded to, go all out and buy the cheapest soldering iron I could find, which of course was not the greatest of ideas. But I bought a whole bunch of stuff, and look, I bought the soldering iron because it came with a soldering iron stand and, a proper heat-resistant sponge for cleaning the soldering iron, and I bought proper solder, and I bought flux, and then I can't remember what else. Oh, I bought a hot glue gun to, glue things down afterwards to, cover it up and give it a bit of extra support so it's not relying just on the solder joint for strength. So, I didn't completely half-ass it, but yeah, I could have bought a better soldering iron. The soldering iron I got is only 30 watts. I would say that is insufficient. I thought because this is a micro, the board is much smaller, that would be enough heat to do what I needed it to do, but I was very much wrong. The ground terminals, even on a micro, see, I still haven't worked out that I'm not using crash flip. The ground terminals on a micro, because the whole board, like that ground terminal, all the grounds on that board are the same board, it'll absorb a lot of heat. So 30 watts is not enough, because I struggled to heat up a pad enough to actually get solder to stick to it. I did manage it, but we're talking a minute to 2 minutes of holding a soldering iron in one place, and the pads on the board are tiny, like they are a millimeter across tops, so only the very tip of the soldering iron can touch it at any one time. So I do need to invest in a more powerful soldering iron, preferably a soldering iron with multiple settings, because for the regular, like an active connector, we're talking 3-4 seconds at 30 watts before that solder pad is hot enough to take solder. So yeah, you kind of want low power when doing active components, but whenever you're doing a ground, well, geez, that thing can soak up a lot of heat. And I think a similar thing would apply to thicker gauge wires. So the battery connectors, they're not that small, but yeah, it definitely takes a bit more than 30 watts. Yeah, so you can see I'm starting to get more confident. I'm not necessarily actually flying any better, but I'm starting to try to fly faster rather than just, limp around the house, because limping around the house isn't going to get me anywhere. Now, it's not until the next day that I recorded, which is with the new VTX, the slightly heavier drone, so on and so forth, that I will try any tricks whatsoever with this drone. So that's the battery warning coming up, telling me that, yeah, you're getting close to the end of the battery, like you don't want to be flying much longer. But I like to fly it a bit beyond that until it actually says land now, to really sort of, use as much as I can, as well as, it's better for the battery to go lower. At least I think so. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe it's worse for the battery to go that low. But especially with tiny whoops, like little 65mm quads like my Mobula 6, you kind of want to use as much battery as you can. Because look there, I only got 3 minutes and 50 seconds of flight time. Alright, next battery. So we're almost on to the next day. Apparently I missed the beginning of this recording, but that's okay. So you'll see I'm not as slow as I was before. I'm by no means fast yet. but this is me learning to fly acro as opposed to me just being able to fly acro. I'm getting better at it, slowly but surely, and eventually, hopefully, I will just be able to fly acro at will. And you know, I mean, it's working. I'm getting the right instincts on the sticks. I'm doing the right things to slow my crashes or sometimes even recover and prevent crashes entirely. Not as much as I'd like. See, like that was a sharp turn and it got a bit out of control, but I recovered. Same as this. I could have slammed into something backwards, but I recovered. Yeah, you often get like well off. Okay, this is not going to work out well. Yeah, I could just tell that was. I mean, you could absolutely work that, get around the door from that angle, but yeah, that was not at my skill level currently. So yeah, here's me again trying to crash flip without crash flip because I haven't yet realized crash flip's on an entirely different switch. I do now know. So yeah, I am thinking of getting a new radio as well because ELRS is becoming a big deal, and I do not have ELRS or any way to add a module to my radio to get ELRS. This is a good radio though. This is the Radio Master T8 Pro. I don't know, it's nice. I like the feel of it, I like the weight of it. I learned a bit of OpenTX because it's actually got a proper OpenTX screen and everything. I had to update the firmware, I had to install the voice controls. Although the voice controls have stopped working, I have to, the voice warnings. I have to see why those aren't working. I don't know what happened and why those have gone silent. I might have turned them off, or I don't know. Something might have happened. I should really look into that. Anywho, again, more crashes, but yeah, we are learning and we are progressing. And this is what you want to do, is basically you want to get to the point, I think, for any new person, especially if you're just going to be flying micros like me, you can stay in stability forever if you're only ever going to fly inside and you're not going to do tricks. But if you want to do tricks, you're going to have to learn acro eventually. So once you've sort of got a feel for how a drone handles instability mode, you want to stop flying in stability mode completely. You just want to go into acro and go, all right, I've got some stick insects. Insects. No, I don't. I've got some stick instincts. I sort of know like where the stick should be pointing to achieve a certain thing, depending on which way up the drone is and which way the drone is angled. Now, in air, it's less forgiving, of course, because it doesn't auto-level for you. You have to bring it back to level yourself. And there's another really important factor, which is going to be rates. Now, rates are how much the drone rotates in any given direction according to how much stick input you get it. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff to do with that, and I'm going to go into that in another video because I'm going to be changing my rates, because later on the next day I will realize my rates are way too low and I cannot do tricks at rates like that. They're just too low. Yeah, going over the fridge was kind of cool. I didn't intend to, I just sort of found myself in that position, and it's like, well, over the fridge is going to be better than trying to correct 3 times in the kitchen to then turn right and then turn left to get through the door and then turn right again. Perfectly doable. I mean, you could do that. Again, you might not be able to do that with the rates I've got because, yeah. It's also harder with the drone that I have because I have the lowest powered Mobula 6 you can get, which is the 16 kV motors. It comes with, I believe there's 16, there's 19, and there's 25. Each has lower flight time on the batteries as you go up in kilovolts, obviously. So I took the one with the longest flight time because I wanted to, I was learning to fly. You can't learn to fly if, after a minute your drone's out of battery. You're not getting enough stick time. The whole idea for me was to get more stick time. So I went with the lower KV. There I am, my ugly mug. I think this is just this hair in the prop and I'm trying to get it out. I went with the lowest KV. Now that means that for the purposes of tricks, this drone is underpowered, so it doesn't recover from certain kinds of tricks very fast because even at max spin, it's struggling. I have the same problem I did in my previous video in that my freaking monitor's turned off. That was great. Yeah, because I'm not touching anything. I'm sitting here recording this. Anyway, yeah, we finally got that fixed. Got the hair out of the prop and off we go again. But we're about to run out of battery, and I think this is the last of this battery and the last for this day, because that's 3 batteries now. And I'll land it in my lap. Nice. Right. So the next day, so this is like 2 days later. So I've had 3 days later. So I've had the accident where I've broken the VTX. I've also gone in and changed a few things. You'll see it now. It says Quibs does stuff. I've got a few more bits of information on my heads-up display, including the receiver signal strength. That goes up as it gets worse. It goes down as it gets better. The amperage is how much the drone is currently using, like to do what it's currently doing. I wanted to know about that. And the milliamp hours are sort of how many milliamp hours it's used. That's not very accurate because I haven't sort of dialed that in. That kind of needs to be dialed in, but it gives you some indication. These are 300 milliamp hour batteries I'm flying it on, so it should only go to about 300 milliamp hours, and then I should have to land. A bit under, in fact, would be more appropriate. But yeah, anyway, you'll see that the VTX seems to be fine. It seems to have the same amount of glitches and breakup. Here's my dirty room. I didn't go into there before. But you'll see I'm flying better and more confidently. And that's because there's a day's worth of flying you didn't see where I reckon I really got better. I flew harder, faster, better, stronger. And yeah, I have more confidence. I'm flying in acro. I'm flying faster. I'm flying smoother. I'm taking corners as they come. I'm not trying to come to a stop and then take a corner and then trying to come to a stop and line up the next thing. I've also found crash flip. So now I don't have to get up and go and get my drone as often because I'll be able to actually flip the drone over. It's not always going to work. Sometimes you'll get stuck somewhere where the drone cannot crash flip, or you'll do something like get it stuck on carpet. Where like it'll suck the carpet into the propeller and then be stuck there, and you'll have to go and rescue it. But a lot more of the time you won't have to get up and you'll be able to rescue your drone. It does use a lot of battery to crash flip. But yeah, anyway, so very wobbly here, so I did slow down so I could recover and get sort of my control back. Now, I am flying faster and more confidently, and this is going to lead me to later on try a few basic tricks. The first trick that I'll do is just a yaw spin, which is basically just the drone spins on its horizontal axis. It's horizontal axis on its vertical axis. I don't know technically which one it is, but I don't do any rolls and it's not a flip. I just spin the drone all the way around while going in one direction is basically what I'm trying to do. Minimum RSSI. So that's the radio signal something strength. Anyway, so that got down to 60%, hey? So another thing I do want to do is actually upgrade the transmitter antenna as well at some point. And what I'd like to actually do is buy UFL connectors, so that IPEX thing that I mentioned before. IPEX 4 is smaller. There's regular IPEX, and that's a bit bigger, and it's easier to get hold of and find. But this is a micro drone, so I really want to get, I'm not going to get this one out with crash flip. It was stuck. I want to get IPEX 4 connectors, and basically at the moment the only place I can find the male connectors is Banggood. So, and like I have to buy 50, and I'm not going to need 50, but I might have to. It's like $6 or something for 50, because these components are tiny. They're like 1.5 millimeters across. They're going to be a hell of a thing to actually try and solder on, but we'll see how we go. You can only learn. I can only break this thing, and yeah. Once again, I've gotten a little bit stuck. I think I'm stuck under the door. Oh no, I get out. Yeah, there's a lot of crap on my floor as well. I don't have storm guards under my door, so like leaves and things just blow under my front door and back door. It's very annoying. Anyway, yeah, so I am flying better. I am flying faster. I believe that is Simon Whistler on YouTube there on my computer screen. I don't know what video it is, but yeah, oh well, I was watching something and apparently I didn't turn it off. So you see there, like I took those corners in sequence because like out of the kitchen and into the lounge room from the passage. And I did so at tilt because I knew that tilt was going to be sufficient to actually get me around if I was careful. I'm trying to land it in my lap again, and I don't think I manage it. And then I'm like, oh, let's just go around one more. I still haven't seen the land now warning. But yeah, see, 287 milliamp hours. It's about right. It's about right. It's not bad. It's completely screwed up now, and I will explain that sort of at the end of the video footage, what happened. Yeah, so now I've gone way over the battery, which is about right. Yeah, so I don't make it into my lap. I screwed that up. But yeah, and then we unplug, and it's next battery time. Now, in the previous day, I was actually turning the video off each battery. In this one, I just left it recording, so I've had to manually edit and cut out the massive amounts of static that happens when you unplug a battery and the the DVR is still recording, because it's getting nothing, so it just gets static. Yeah, anyway. So again, more confidence, a little more speed. I take off and like start going faster. I don't spend as long, hovering around really slowly. I sort of take off and just fly. Yeah, still can't get tight corners at speed. Like I take the corner and I basically brake. I'm not sweeping through the corner. I'm sort of air braking into the corner, which isn't right. And then, yeah, I didn't have that quite right. I didn't get it. I think I'm stuck under the door here, and I'm gonna have to go and get it. Yeah. No, I've realized I'm stuck under the door, and I'm gonna have to go and get it. So you'll see me walk down the corridor momentarily as I get up and go to get it. My famous PJs. Probably my favorite PJs. I really like these PJs. I think they're a Target special. I don't think they're anything amazing. But I like them. They're comfy as. And it is getting a bit cold down here in Australia at the moment as well. Well, where I am, it's getting cold. But yeah, so again, back up and running. Again, more speed, turning into the corners. I'm like turning lefts and rights. I tend to always go that way around. Here's my bedroom again. The green lights that you saw, that's actually the charger. It's all green because there's no batteries plugged into it at the moment. I've just left it plugged in, but I'm going to put the batteries back in it soon because I'm going to charge for hopefully another run. I will discover that I'm not going to be able to do that soon. But yeah, I think we're about ready where I'm going to start trying to do tricks. So this is me now. I've come to a stop and I've sort of crashed it. But what I actually wanted to do there was go into this room, pull up, and then reverse down the corridor. That is the next thing that I really want to sort of do. Is get in here. I'm trying it, and I reverse pretty far, and then freak out and go, all right, that'll do. But yeah, so no look, reversing, and there's a yaw spin. So yeah, just spin the drone on its axis. Trying it again, did not make it. But yeah, trying to add tricks to things, like simple indoor tricks that make the video more entertaining. Now, the pros of you may have spotted that that's a really slow spin, isn't it? And yes, it is. And that was really slow too. And I haven't realized this yet. Oops, and I've definitely lost control of it there. I haven't realized this yet, but I will when I try to do my first roll, which I believe is soon. Yep, yaw spin, again, not ideal. I'm not finishing where I started facing, but I'll get better at that, and again, I'm going to be changing my rates. But yeah, a pro would definitely have spotted that the rates are very, very wrong. There we go, and that's the one. So I'm trying to do a roll. Now, did you see how damn slow that was? That was super slow. That means my rates are wrong, because this thing should be able to flip over, even with its low-powered motors. It should flip like within less than half a second. I should easily be able to flip it in this corridor. I think I try it again. No, I do a yaw spin. Come out of it again, too far, too little, too far. Yeah, did not get that line right at all. But yeah, so this was the idea. It was basically, I've gotten to the point now where I think I can fly around the house in acro without crashing for like a whole battery, no worries. I cannot seem to get it to crash flip this time. I think I do eventually, but I just can't get it. I spent ages and ages and ages. Oh no, I think it's stuck under a door, or it's stuck on something, so I'm gonna have to physically get up and go and get it, which is always a pain in the butt, especially trying to get out of a beanbag. Beanbags are hard to get out of, especially when they're on the low on the floor like mine is, and probably needs more beans too. But yeah, so trying to do tricks. Now, I definitely got my rates wrong and I couldn't do it, so I've absolutely cratered into the ground once. The other crashes that you've seen me do, not so bad. When it just bounces like that, it's not great. It is bouncing on the battery. I tend to... The thing that I find I break the most are the battery terminals. Yeah, that one, absolutely not. I've just absolutely destroyed it. I've turned sideways and they're definitely not enough. Especially at the end of the battery, it's probably not a good idea to try and draw a roll, but yeah, that did not work at all. Right. Next battery, is this the one where it's already broken? No, I think it breaks after this, like midway through this flight, I have a big crash. Wow, signal strength is up really high and I'm right next to the drone. That's really weird. Maybe it is a lower number as you get further away. Oh yeah, it is. Okay, so I'm definitely reading that wrong. Anyway, so lower number is, yeah, what you're expecting. But yeah, again, so now I'm still flying okay. Yeah, you see, like, took that corner, corrected to come into this room, got a bit out of control, but brought it back. You know, taking sharp corners, braking when I have to brake, but not all the time. Trying to keep speed maintained. Trying to go fast rather than slow. Yeah, tried it forward roll, that's what it was. And now, Houston, we have a problem. What is battery less than full? So that is to do with the amp meter. Well, one of the meters on the drone now thinks that this is a bigger battery than it is. So it's not happy about the battery. So now there's some static. The battery connector is also dying. And I think that's what actually did it, is that the battery connector is broken and now it no longer knows what's going on. So I have ordered another battery connector that's coming with the new batteries as well as a new frame. There's a more recommended frame. Oh yeah, and all that chromatic aberration. I don't know what that was either. That was weird. I didn't notice that before. Yeah, so now I'm trying a different battery. So there'll be some static. This is how long it takes me to take out the battery, look at it and go, what's wrong? I don't understand what's wrong. And then you'll see the connection come in and then it'll go off again and then come in again. And that's not supposed to happen either. So yeah, there's some real problems now with my drone. It's definitely, yeah. It comes in, I put it down, I arm it, and we just get a battery less than full warning and it will not fly. And that's basically all she wrote for the actual flight in this video. So that is the state that my drone is in now. But some further information. So the next thing I went and did, this is just a picture of the Mobula 6. I'm just going to leave that up there while I sort of speak out the rest of this video. So what I did was I plugged it into the computer. I opened up Betaflight, which is a piece of software which allows you to inspect the programming on the drone, blah, 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 blah. It's all, graphical user interface and makes things pretty simple. And for ages, I couldn't work out what was wrong. Eventually, I spotted that all my settings were gone. Like my on-screen display settings were gone. My switch settings were all gone. Basically, the drone had reset to factory. Initially, I noticed when I tried to connect my receiver. So in Betaflight, when the drone is powered up, which it will be when it's plugged into a computer via the USB cable, it's got enough power to run. I tried to move the sticks on my transmitter, and nothing happened. But as far as Betaflight was concerned, nothing was happening. So I'm like, oh, okay, it's lost bind. Do I have to rebind it? So I tried to rebind it. Binding is just connecting your specific drone to your specific receiver. Otherwise, if multiple people are flying around, one receiver would fly all the drones, and that would be chaos. So I tried rebinding it, and it rebound fine, but that didn't change anything. And then I sort of looked around, and I'm like, all my switch things are gone. Like everything that I've programmed into this drone is gone. So luckily I had a backup, so I restored the backup, and that seemed to repair everything, and all my switches came back and blah, 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 blah. But it didn't repair this battery thing. So I tried a few other things, which was like I turned the battery meter off, That didn't let me fly. I changed you can change the scale of the battery meter to lift it up or lift it down so that it reads higher or lower according to, which I don't actually know why that would be used, under what circumstances, but apparently that's used under certain circumstances. You might want to actually do that. And mine, the scaling isn't 100 to 1, 100% to 1 to 100%. Mine is actually at about 116 as about the right sort of number to give me the right voltage values on my batteries. That's for the voltage, and the amperage was set at about 111 or something. But I'm going to have to dial those in again because everything will change now. Apparently, putting a new battery lead on it will just make things different. So we'll have to see. But yeah, all my settings were gone. I was able to restore that because luckily I keep a backup of all my settings. But yeah, a lot of things like my on-screen display settings, those aren't saved in that backup. So I had to reset those up, and even doing all of that, the drone will fly, but it'll fly with this battery not full warning. And then, yeah, sometimes it'll just lose connection and fall out of the sky. And other times when I'm putting in a battery, I'll notice that, I'll get a visual signal and then I'll lose it. And if I wiggle the battery connector, I'll lose signal. So at first I thought it was the terminals on that particular battery. So I actually opened that battery up and resoldered those terminals. And then as I was resoldering them, I'm looking at them going, there's nothing looks wrong with these. But I did it anyway. And then I put the battery back in and it still kept doing it. So I tried the other battery, which wasn't the battery of the crash. And that one did it as well. So I'm like, oh no, it's the actual terminal of the drone, not the battery terminals on the batteries. So I sort of looked at it, and yeah, one of the pins has become recessed inside the connector. It's too far back, and I could not retrieve it. I couldn't pull it back out again without sort of breaking it. It's not recoverable. So I've had to order a new battery connector, and I will have to solder that on when it gets here. Now that takes some time because it's coming from New South Wales and I'm in South Australia, and batteries cannot be transported via air. Lithium polymer batteries cannot. We use LiPos, lithium polymer, in this hobby, and they have a tendency to explode. So they can't be transported by air. They have to be transported by, in this case, road freight. If they're coming from one country to another, they'll have to go by ship. So yeah, we'll see. There will be an update in the future when I have soldered on the new connections, and I will have changed to a different frame as well. I might actually take some photos or some video footage on my phone or something to actually show you what the drone looks like, because just this picture, well, that's what it looks like standard out of the box, brand new. Mine is much more beaten up than that for a start. It's got this weird new antenna that sticks up like the drone's hailing a cab. It's way, way bigger and I think it's added quite a few grams of weight. I should really get something smaller, but again, I want to get some proper connectors before I do that. I could cut the aerial down a lot, but there's wavelength considerations, and the length of the actual antenna actually matters. So I don't want to do that until I know more about that. At the moment, I'd prefer to just buy a ready-made one that's the right length and use a specific good connector as opposed to just soldering it on. The IPEX 4 connector is good. It's tight and it's tiny, which is great for the micro drones because it weighs almost nothing. So that will be coming in a future video. But for now, my drone is out of commission, and it'll be some time before I get that fixed up. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, including my failure. I don't know what you get out of it, but I like it. I have fun making them. I have fun flying the drone. Perhaps you might be interested in flying a drone. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell, because it's super random when I upload videos or when I go live. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.